Hello and welcome back to Delusions of Mediocrity, where the dice rolls are rubbish, but in the end it doesn't really matter. We're back for another battle report. This is going to be my game 1 from the Rage of Sigmar tournament held this last weekend at Bad Moon Cafe in London. And it's my Deepkin versus Charles's Beasts of Chaos, and we are playing Battle for the Pass. So let's have a quick look at the lists. So mine hasn't really changed from the Essex GT, but I'll give you a quick rundown. I have an Achillean King with Ethereal Amulet to go around and basically be a nuisance around the side and the back of the enemy normally. A Soul Render with the Cloud of Midnight, along with my Reavers and Thralls, a part of the Namati core. The Cloud of Midnight I can pop once per game and he can't be targeted for a phase, just to make him a bit of a nuisance. We have the Stinky Finger, Pointer of Doom, the Soul Scryer, who will also chuck stinky fish at you to no avail, to help me ambush some stuff and make people charge good. We have the Tidecaster, who is my general with the Born from Agony trait, because I might as well, for +2 wounds, and the Steed of Tide for a bit of movement shenanigans. She's also brought a Malevolent Maelstrom that may or may not be utterly fucking useless, but there we go, we had 10 points to spare. 2 units of 6 Zappy Eels, because, I mean, you really should. And 20 Eternal Guard, who are there to exist aggressively for cheap and help me hold objectives. My opponent's Beast of Chaos is a full summoning list. Now, as actually gave it a name, which was Turn 2 Chimera, which I didn't see. But here you go, you'll quickly see he's got a... Oh, I didn't put his items on here. But there we go, he's got the Beast Lord, and he's actually got the Blade of the Desecrator, because he has to, because they are from the All Herd. He's got a Doom Bull, who's just there for funsies. His Great Bray Shaman, who's his general. He's got the Ether Quartz Brooch. His command trait is Dominator, because he has to. Brooch is to get his command points back, because all his characters can spend command points to get summoning points. And he's got the Vicious Stranglethorns spell, which makes terrain give out mortal wounds. This other Great Bray Shaman has the Knowing Eye, which is an item at the start of his command phase on a 4-up. He gets a command point. He's got the Tendrils of Atrophy spell. Then he's got 3 units of 10 Bestigor with the command, 4 units of Ungor Raiders, Bulgors, 6 Bulgors. Can't remember what they were armed with. I'm fairly sure it wasn't the pair of axes, but I couldn't tell you to save my life what they're armed with. And then he's got the Braster Spoilers and the Depraved Drove. And I'm fairly sure the Braster Spoilers is the Beast Lord and the Bestigors, and the Depraved Drove is everything else. Definitely the Shaman or Depraved Drove. I couldn't tell you exactly. It didn't really come up, beyond the fact that because his Shaman from the Depraved Drove, they've got Marks of Slanesh, so he can cast the Wheels of Execution, which do mortal wounds if you roll underneath the opponent's armor save. So here we've got our deployment in our spearheads. He has not chosen to ambush anything. He's just trying to screen off from my annoyances. So he's got some... Basically, it's fairly symmetrical. He's got 3 bulls, 6 bulls with the Doom Lord. He's got 2 screens of Ungor Raiders, screens of Ungor Raiders. He's got his last unit of Ungor Raiders down here somewhere, to be sacrificed to his big totem. His 2 Shaman are around here. His Beast Lord is around here somewhere. Then he's got Bestigor. So he's done a good job of shielding his big units from me, early on. Which is interesting. And over here, if I remember correctly, I've put some Thralls down here to stop. Originally, I didn't know if he was going to ambush anything, so I put some Thralls here. I've got the unit of Thralls here. I've got my Eternal Guard down here. They're just making sure that he can't bring anything on the backfield. Fairly sure these are some, just Eternal Guard. I've got Reavers, some more Thralls around here, both units of Eels. You can just see my Tidecaster here. I've got my Cloak of Midnight guy somewhere here. And then the Soul Scryer and the Achillean King are off the board, ready to be a pain in the backside. And the terrain. The big thing is this is mystical, which is actually quite useful. So this is his first turn move with his Ungor Raiders that he can do. So he's just moved out a bit to try and screen me off some more, make sure I can't get anything in behind here. So, my turn 1, and I do decide to Flood Tide, and I got 2 CP. The main reason for this is that mostly if I don't get the double turn, then I'm high tide, and if he charges because his units are good on the charge, but even my eels with the sheer number of attacks they put out will make a mess of 10 Vestigor, will make a mess of anything. So I flip the tide thinking, right, I'll have a look at what he's given me in terms of first turn charges, but if I don't get the double, it's not devastating for me, because any of my units, if they get charged, will pump out enough attacks that I'm not actually that worried. So, I actually managed to get the Steed of Tides off and push this little dude out here, because basically he's just going to move in and tag this objective and be a nuisance. And here we go. Now, I move up, and I did some measuring, and I couldn't get any decent first turn charges off. So all I did is I ran these guys up, tried to get some shots off. You'll be able to see down here that I took out a few Ungor Raiders, didn't really do much up here. Spread these out. I'm fairly confident he can't get anything back here. We measured it out. Just keeping my units around. You'll see here these guys have tailed around to stop him bringing anything particularly horrible or big round here, and these guys are ready to push in. I don't really mind at the moment, because I'm going to keep my objective fairly comfortably. I just need to get to his, and at the moment I've pushed up enough, so I'm not quite able to get to this because I don't want to give him too much. So that's where things stand at the end of my turn, and I scored 3 points. 1, 2, and 3. So this is his turn. So he has 1, 2, 3 command points. He got his 4 up to go up to 4 command points. He spent 3 of them to try and get summoning points. Didn't get any 5-ups on the brooch. So that puts him up to 1 summoning point automatically, 3 from the CPs, and he sacrificed 2 Ungor to get another 2. So he's already on 6 summoning points. And at this point, I'm like, he could summon in some Vestigor. This is purely because I didn't read his list name, which he handed to me. I've got a paper copy right here next to me, and it says massive at the top, turn 2 Chimera. But I'm special, and I didn't see that. So here's me worrying that he might summon in a big unit of Vestigor or something like that. Nah. It's just, he wants to bring in a Chimera. Right, blurry pick. A lot of the pictures are blurry. Again, I'm going to apologize every single video until I work this out. It gives you the right overview of the battlefield, but it's because I'm taking these on my phone really quickly to try and avoid anything horrible, to avoid delaying the game. But there we go. The result is that you do get some blurry pictures here. So he's pushed up with a load of things. I think he's still being very, very cautious here, which probably too cautious, I think, personally. But there we go. So he's just pushing up a little bit. Just making sure that now he's scoring this one. I mean, ultimately, I'm fairly sure he could have pushed up and taken this one, but he didn't. I mean, his shooting does a few wounds up here. He picks one of these guys off, Can't remember if that was due to a spell or not. But I've lost a couple of Reavers, which is no biggie at this deal. He pops a couple of wounds on this chappie. I didn't use his Shroud of Midnight because I was more worried about him getting a charge from anything. Oh yeah, look, there's Beast Lord. A really nice little, it's a different model. Can't remember where it's from. But there you go. But yeah. So, I didn't flip that over. So, he scores 3 points. At the end of turn 1, it's 3-3. And I think he wins priority and gives it to me. Which was interesting. So, yeah, here we go. I go into high tide. So, no matter what, I have to go for it this turn. So it looks like I skipped taking pictures in a couple of turns. So what's happened here? Right. I've pushed some of my guys up here, the thralls, to make sure I've got that tagged. You'll notice round here, we are trying to screen off as much as possible. Now what's happened is I pushed my eels up. From my shooting, these guys went nuts and took off an entire screen there. These guys have pushed up. They weren't as effective against this screen. Or maybe they were. Maybe there was another. I've got one, killed one. Three. No. So I think they popped one or two off here, but these Reavers are going to go for it. Because again, it's high tide, so I'm just going to friggin' go. Push up both my eel units, and I brought my king on here. And what I did is I pointed at the middle unit of Bestigor, because that was my best bet. So middle unit of Bestigor pointed out with the Soul Scryer. The king, you'll notice down here, has gone into the small unit of Bulgors. And then because of that, I was able to, all I needed was one eel from this unit to tag this guy on a little bit. So they've gone in, smack. They've gone in, smack. He's gone in here. These guys have charged into here, and we're just going to go for it. Now, when all is said and done, I think these guys zapped his Beast Lord or put a few attacks on him, wiped out the Bestigor. He went absolutely crazy with all his attacks. This guy is so swingy. He will either do nothing or he'll do this and just take off. He just took off the 3 Bulgors. Maybe he lost the last one due to battle shock. I can't remember. Wiped out his Bestigor here. Now, these didn't fare as well as I would have hoped. There's still a few Ungor knocking about here. They're holding this objective. They don't care what happens here if they get charged or anything, because they will hold their own back here. So all of a sudden, this flank is completely clear for me. He's under massive threat here. And I'm not too worried. Again, like I said, if he charges the eels with his Bestigor, I can zap him, because these guys haven't zapped. I'm fairly sure these guys probably did zap. These guys haven't, so they can zap a load before they get to attack. And even then, with the sheer volume of attacks, these guys are only 1 wound 4 up save, so they will probably go down like sacks of shit. And even these big guys, if they charge in, I'm fairly comfortable. So at this point, I'm fairly comfortable because I've done enough damage to his list that he's going to have to concentrate hard enough on holding his home objective that the chances of him coming back and taking the center ones, let alone my backfield one, is actually quite remote. So anyway, I score 5 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So takes it to 8 to me. Yeah, a bit of a close-up of what's going on back here. I think I might even have been able to tag his, shaman in there. So there we go. And these guys run away due to battle shock, it looks like. So, his turn 2. Oh, much better picture. So, we're going to go into his turn 2. At this point, with his CP shenanigans, he's got himself up to 9. I think he gets himself up to 10 summoning points. So, his movement phase. So, his plan is here. So, magic phase. He manages to cast a few spells. So, he cast the one where the scenery does mortal wounds, and you'll see he's got these, the wheels of cruciation, whatever they are, off. And that's killed off a whole load of these guys, which is unfortunate, really. And a few wounds on the eels. He's retreated a lot of his units. These guys have taken a wound, probably to some shots or something. And you'll notice he's making a push round here. So his Bestigor have moved round. They're sort of they'll probably try and get something done there. And his Bulgars, basically he doesn't want to engage with the eels. He knows that if he charges them, between the zaps and everything, it's probably not going to go brilliantly. And here we go. He's summoned up his Chimera. It is here. The big boy is round. Here we go. In his charge phase, he charges these guys with his Bestigor. There we go. And just takes them off. I didn't take a picture, but his Chimera, I'm fairly sure, popped up here and he's going to... Oh yeah, his Chimera popped up and just breathed off. It shot off my Soul Scryer. That's what was missing from this picture. The Soul Scryer was here. The Chimera turned up and just went... Bleh. So anyway, that's the situation. And I make it that he scores 3 points for this turn. His home objective is still safe. And he scores this side one. So he wins priority into turn 3. So we're back onto the Flood Tide. Now I'm not hitting first, so that's a better turn for him to attack me. But I am re-rolling one, so we'll see what goes on here. He actually gets a really good roll. This turn, he is able to... he's actually able to do really well and on his 5-ups and gets a whole load of summoning points. Now this is at the end of his movement phase. And he's actually brought on a massive Moo Cow Gorgon over here. And these guys... Vroom. So he made sure, I think, that they were getting the +3. I think that's a Shaman up here. And so they've sped up. And now I'm in a spot of bother because my back objective is not looking so solid. This unit of Thralls here might be in a spot of problems. And it's not high tide. So if they charge my eels, we might regret it. And he's bearing down on my Achillean King. So charges. Now he breathes on the Achillean King. He's down to 2 wounds. He charges in here. These guys are coming in to take these guys off. As you can see, they've charged in here. If I remember correctly, the Gorgon actually fails his charge. It's a big old charge, but he does fail it. Oh, that's better. There we go. Much better picture. Now, combat phase, my Ethereal Achillean King does his absolute best, and the Chimera's first head just misses, or I save them all. Second head, he misses, and I save them all. Third head, he misses, or I save them all. So I'm thinking, oh my god, we might just survive this. And then he's got 6 claws, 4s and 3s, 1 damage for my 2 wounds, and yeah, he fucks up and dies. Classic. Classic Achillean King. Over here, yeah, the eels die. I think I zap and get... I think I kill one of them, and then I mean, basically, this is what happens. Because I think what happened was I didn't fight with them first. I went with the Thralls. Because I could get a fair number of them in and actually do a number on his Bestigor. Which is why I've still got 2 or 3 left because I actually thinned out his ranks before he can attack. Which meant I sacrificed the eels, but I figured, do you know what? My home objective, this gives me a much better chance at securing it rather than anything else. Whilst these eels, well, I know I've got these guys, I've got this. I can deal with this when I need to. So he actually scores 1, 2, 3, and he's actually got enough numbers here to score my home objective. So he scores 7 points in that one. So he goes up to 13 points. So we go to my turn 3. Blurry action shot, as always. So I've retreated the Thralls. I've brought these Thralls up here. I've run these guys up. And instead of getting too excited and sending these guys against the Bulls, what I figured was, I'll let them do what they're going to do, but I really want to score these points, because if he hadn't scored that this turn, I'd feel a lot better. But instead, I really need a big scoring turn, so I'm going to take this one from him. Playing the objectives, yo. Shooting phase, that little Bray Shaman that was here, they go bonkers and take him off, which is nice. I was able to do a couple of wounds. Because I lost priority, I sent the wheels off this way and did some wounds to peeps. Charging, what I actually ended up doing is these guys charge his Shaman and his Ungor over here. So we ignored all of that, and I'm just going to secure the center. These guys charged into the Gorgon. I went with these ones first, and they just took him off. They were like, nah, we don't care. And for my back objective, I've tried to pile in, I'll show you a picture later, I think I've piled in my Eternal Guard as much as I could. These didn't take much damage, and as you can imagine, took pretty much everything off. So at the end of my turn, I score 6 points, 2 for this, 4 for this objective, 2 for this objective down here, which brings the scores to 14, 13 at the end of round 3. Crucially, I win priority going into turn 4. So, movement in turn 4. These guys push up over here. They take some damage due to the wheels going through them, which was mildly annoying. My thralls are pushing up to take this objective. And the remaining thralls and my Eternal Guard have just pushed up. So the Eternal Guard are going to push up here. The thralls are probably going to charge in and do some a mess up here. So there we go. So combat phase. I mean, these are just fighting, but there's so few of these now that they're largely irrelevant. They're just holding back, ready to engage it. I think I unload a load of shots with the Reavers into these chaps. I mean, they did a ton of wounds. They've done this unit of Reavers that you can just see down here were just absolute nuts this entire game. We go into his turn 4. In that turn, I did score 9 points for every single objective, so it puts me on 23. His turn, he charges these guys with his Ungor. He's going to bring these back to try and secure his center. Now, I did tell him about the Cloak of Midnight multiple times, but he's brought these bulls round and charged him, and I popped my Cloud of Midnight this turn so that he couldn't kill me. I couldn't tell you. The Bulgur seems to be dead. Either he went after these guys or he went after the thralls. Either way, he went down. You'll notice that he charged into the Reavers, the last of the Reavers with the Chimera, who predictably killed them all. And at the end of his turn then, he scored 3 points for that one. 1 for his home objective, 2 for this one, because even if my Soul Render hasn't died, that's still him controlling that objective. So at the end of round 4, that brings the scores to 23-15 to me. He wins priority. And essentially we sort of fast forward the last turn because he controls this one. This guy isn't going to do a whole lot. I push this one through and take off the rest of his Ungor Raiders. He's going to do something over here. He scores this one for 3. And in my turn, I'm probably going to score 2 here and 1 here. And in the combat phase, he kills them. And that's what it looks like. I actually charge what's left of his Bestigor with the Eternal Guard because I thought I might as well. So there we go. The game ended 26-18 in my favor. We were playing with secondary objectives. I had picked whichever one meant that I had to destroy 2/3 of the enemy objectives, which I scored. And my opponent chose an objective where he had to stop me from having units in his deployment zone, or his territory rather, which because he killed off my Ungor Raiders and was able to kill off at the end the last eel, he denied me that one. So the way it works is you get a point for scoring your secondary objective and a point for denying it. So I got a major win with scoring mine, which was 31 tournament points, and my opponent got 1 tournament point for denying me from his secondary objective. So great start to the tournament, a major win. I was relatively confident going into this because Beasts of Chaos units, the way I looked at it is my units one-on-one, pretty much all of them could take or at least do a job against any of his units due to their low armor saves. So I was fairly comfortable. I was just a bit worried about the ambush. So when he didn't put anything in ambush, I was fairly happy with that. And then I was able to as I thought, like, take off his units bit by bit with mine. The Chimera was an absolute bugger to get rid of. But there we go. I was busy dealing with other stuff. But happy with that. So join me for game 2 coming up.